All right. Hi, everyone. I wanted to do a quick transit update. I know it's been a week or two since I've had a moment to sit down and really do one of these. So today is Thursday, November 12th, 2020. It's 1 p.m. I'm on the East Coast time zone. So just for anyone watching this, so you can have an idea. You can see that data here. So something big that's happening today, and it's the third time and final time this year, and probably for some time, just because of the slowness of one of the planets, but Jupiter and Pluto are conjunct. You can see they're both in gate 61 and they are exact at line 3. I believe it's 22 degrees of each of those. Don't quote me on that. I just literally just wrote down all the dates that this has happened for. So this is the third time this has happened. It's the last time it's happening. And it's happening in Capricorn, which, is the sign of karma. It's the sign of responsibility, and I think of Capricorn as like a working energy, having like a dedication and a devotion, and this is happening. Gate 61 is up here at the crown, at the head center, and it is connected to gate 24 right now through Uranus, and again, another slow moving planet, so we're having that for a while. This channel is just downloads. I'm going to read a little bit about that specific channel because it has been happening for a while, and I think that we could all use a little bit of wisdom just from the messages of Ra. So right now I'm reading from the definitive book of human design by Linda Bonnell and Ra Uru Hu. So this is a really good book if you're trying to get like deep into human design. It's very textbooky, so it reads sort of slow at times, but I find just a lot of like really great knowledge here. It's about $50. If you're not geeking out on human design, don't buy this book. Like, just listen to the teachers, and if you're not geeking out on it, I always, but you do want a book, I would recommend Karen Curry, Understanding Human Design, just for books. So this is the channel of awareness. It's a design of a thinker, and it's in the knowing circuit. Don't worry if any of this doesn't make sense. I'm just going to read it. Channel, the type of channel it is, it's a projected channel. So it links the head center to the ajna center. You'll kind of see me point to these places on my body sometimes. So head, ajna, third eye is the ajna, head is the crown chakra. It's gate 61 at the head, so that's where Pluto and Saturn are today, or Pluto and Jupiter, my apologies. They are in the gate of mystery, which is gate 61, and then Uranus is in the gate of rationalization, gate 24. The mental capacities of the individual are comprised of the inspiration of gate 61, inner truth, and the rationalization of gate 24, the return. This is mental definition that brings a sudden experience of knowing, a satori. The channel of awareness creates the individual thinker. The pressure in the head center, so the head center is a pressure center. And this is the pressure to know the unknowable. It's conceptualized then through the ajna center into a rational answer. Thinking with this channel is not about discovering, it is about how our acoustic mind processes inspiration. It's about the mutation that is possible when there is a gap in the thinking process and a new thought can come in. The mind turns things over and over and over again until the moment of mutation, or satori, arrives and you simply know. Individual thinking cannot relate to the past and reflect on it in the way abstract thinking does. And abstract thinking will come about through this channel of the 6447. it cannot recognize the pattern based on this measurement to make a prediction for the future as logical thinking does. And that comes in here at 63 and 4. The channel of awareness is here to know what is knowable and of value, to know what is knowable but of no value, and to know what we are not designed to know. So basically, this is all about knowing. It's about there's just a lot coming through. So, you know, in this channel, you're going to recognize things that you're going to know things that are valuable. You're going to know the things that aren't valuable, and you're going to know that you're just not meant to know everything. I have this channel in my chart, so I get called out often because you'll see you'll see wrinkles in my forehead because I'm always thinking. I'll catch myself for it. I've had bosses catch me for it, and it's my mind. It is just thinking. And the more that I can like get out of my mind and into my body, it does help with that. And then it allows like my mind to work as a tool. And something cool that's happening because of the sun and the earth is we are getting this channel, the channel of structuring, for today and probably through, let's see, actually, I think we can find exactly through Monday at 4:54 in the morning, we have this channel. So not only are we receiving these downloads and these things, these knowings, these inspirations, we are also now given the ability to sort of start bringing that down. And this energy is coming from the planet. So even for me, like what's coming through from Jupiter and Pluto and Uranus is different than what I already have there. So it is like new information. I would say I'm like less, I would say because I already have it, it doesn't feel like an unfamiliar energy. Whereas like I can imagine if you don't have either of those channels, that could feel, or either of those gates, or that whole channel, like that could feel like really intense. Or if you have half of it and you're getting the whole thing, it could just be a lot. You could be having like headaches and things. So rest and water and just like remembering that that it is energy and it will pass. For me, it's like kind of it's still a teacher, it's still teaching me things, but I definitely I'm like used to that head energy. But now I'm noticing I'm like having this ability to speak things, which is really cool, but it isn't mine, right? Like this isn't like my energy that I'm putting out. It's like I'm somewhat like borrowing it, and using it as like a tool, and allowing myself to like take these inspirations and things that I'm noticing. So, you know, Pluto is the channel of like transformation. So like what's inspiring me to transform, and what is inspiring me to like make these changes to like really like show up as my authentically aligned, like full embodied higher self, right? Because I did these higher self ceremonies, and they've now moved into this kind of like authentic alignment sort of alchemy series. And it's about, we work with the moon, and we do that on Instagram. And it's, if you're interested in following along, it's alchemy_and_alignment. And I really just get on there so that I can like have a space where it's like my main account is like my main account. It's people who've known me through my whole life. And so I'm not like, there's just like so many different levels of like, who do I show there? What parts of me? And I just wanted a space where I could just be like, hey, this is what I'm channeling. This is what I'm saying. I'm talking about my sexuality. I'm talking about the moon. I'm talking about human design. And like, I just wanted a space to do that. That was like a smaller community. And so that's what that is just a space for me to show up as my higher self and myself, and share that with others. And now we're in a space of like alchemizing that, which is a really, really cool and really exciting. But, you know, Pluto is transforming us in that way. And then Jupiter is kind of this like benevolent planet, especially if you can, it's 111 here. It's like, it is a more benevolent planet. There's still like lessons and things to it. Let me see specifically if I can find it really fast. If not, no big deal. But Jupiter likes to like offer you blessings, and so it's aligning with Pluto. I'm gonna find this. It's aligning with Pluto right now. And so if we can really like tap into this like transformative death, rebirth energies that Pluto's giving us, Jupiter is conjunct with Pluto and like offering like space for like these gifts to fully come through if we like let them. So Jupiter is about law and protection. Other than the sun, no object exerts greater influence. It divines our outer development in 11-year cycles. It defines our relationship to the other and the whole. The law of our self is written by Jupiter. So if you're following your own, that was kind of, I think, the lesson thing I was getting from Jupiter. Because yeah, if you're kind of following your rules, like your heart rules, Jupiter's going to bless you. But if you're not, Jupiter's going to be like, you're not listening. I can't bless you if you're not listening. And, you know, listening is a process of tenderness. So yeah, don't be harsh on yourself if you're not like receiving all your blessings right now, but just like notice like, oh, well, where am I out of alignment? Like, where can I make small steps towards this bigger thing that I'm stepping towards? Because Jupiter is the biggest planet, right? So yeah, we're each imprinted with a very focused theme of what is correct for us. Our law is written by Jupiter. If you live by that law, you can gain great good fortune, as Jupiter is very generous at times. But your ability to benefit from the generosity comes from deep obedience to your own law. So I can give you an example. So this morning I woke up, and I was noticing recently that I would wake up in the morning and I'd sort of just be like upset that I had to wake up. Like I wouldn't call myself like in any way like depressed or like once I'm awake and I'm good. But like getting out of bed the last few months has just been really tough. And so the other day I was like, okay, well, like, how do I shift that? Like, how do I shift myself from being like, oh, I don't want to get up, to, okay, like, I'm up. Like, how do I honor myself for the day? And, you know, and in no way like forcing anything or being like, you have to do this. And like, no, I mean, I know what I need. I know exactly what it is. And I know that there are lots of like conditioning patterns, emotional patterns, and just like blocks of energy that like I'm becoming aware of through this process of like noticing this little thing. And so, you know, the next day when I woke up, I like immediately was like, okay, like I'm awake and I'm grateful for that. And so, you know, like these slow steps. And this morning when I woke up around 10 a.m., which is pretty natural for me. I would say I wake up, and I live in a basement right now. So it's a little bit tougher to be like woken up by the sun, which like usually if I'm in an upstairs room, like I'll wake up sort of like naturally with the sun. But because I'm in a basement, it's like 10 is usually the time I wake up. So yeah, anywhere between like 9, 10 is normal. 11 is a little later, but I woke up around 10 and I was really sleepy. I am on my period. I always have my period kind of like leading up to the new moon. And which I love. And so I was just feeling a little tired, so I went back to sleep for about an hour. But when I woke up, like, I just like really tapped into my body, and my body immediately asked for food, which I have trouble eating. And I've had trouble with like my eating patterns my whole life, but especially like when I was with Zach, he was kind of extreme. We would go from like these phases where we would like have breakfast every morning to like not eating until like late at night, and it would get really confusing. And then he passed away, and that was a whole ordeal. And then I moved back into my parents, and like that was like stepping into like all of these patterns that I had like, I canceled. Like Zach and I didn't keep chips in the house. We didn't keep candy and sugar in the house. Like, we had very strict rules. He was Capricorn. And, my parents' house was like, oh my God. And so, I was like, I wasn't eating in the morning. I was never hungry in the morning or anything. And today I woke up and, I make this little like, it's like Greek yogurt and oats and chia seeds and like protein powder and, some Greek yogurt and some oat milk, and it's like really simple to make. You can make it the night before and like have it ready the next day, but it's so easy to make, and I just like mix it all up. And I was craving that and some matcha, and I went upstairs to get a bowl, and my mom had a whole bowl of limes and lemons, so I grabbed a lemon and I made some like lemon and cayenne water with like my colloidal silver. Like it was like, I was like, dang, who is she? I was like, who is she? And I came downstairs, I made the breakfast, I made the matcha, like I wrote, I turned on my music, and it felt so good. It felt so good. And I think it felt so good because I like allowed myself the space to get here. Like I do, like if you know me well, you know that I do have, I do have patterns of being like really self-critical and like harsh with myself. And I'm working with that like constantly, like, why are you being so harsh? Why are you being so harsh, And I mean, in doing that and like having this practice of like, okay, like we're going to just watch it and watch it and watch it. And like having this knowing, right? Like I know, like yesterday, here's an example, I'm doing really well with my coffee. I haven't had coffee in, I don't think like 3 days now. And so that feels very good. I'm very grateful for that. Huge shout out to the Dandy Blend. It's like this, like, I don't even know what all's in it, but it's called a Dandy Blend, and it's like dandelion and like maybe like oats. I'm not really sure, but it's a replacement for coffee. And I've had that the last couple mornings, and matcha, and it's just so much more like, it's so much more higher self than the Keurig, and so I'm really grateful for that. And part of though, like getting out of that pattern was like witnessing and allowing the pattern to die out. And like as soon as I'm coming back from Chicago, it was like, I'm done with this coffee thing. Like this has got to stop. Like I spent so much money on coffee when I was in Chicago. Like every day it was just like, screw it, I'm going to a coffee shop. I mean, like enjoyed it, obviously, like enjoyed that experience. But on the way back, I just was like, no, I'm done. Like I'm done with this. And it was really, really beautiful to kind of like watch myself step out of it. I got home, and I did have a couple of cups of coffee like my first day back, but they were both decaf, and like very, very like specifically decaf. And then I had a thing with like microplastics, and it was one of my friends who owns a little matcha shop. She posted something about how those little tea bags can have hidden plastics, like microplastics in them. And I was like, oh, like I do drink those tea bags. But that really made me think like, well, I mean, if there's microplastics in those little satchels, those little paper bags, then like, I mean, the plastic containers my mom gets her Keurig things in, I'm definitely getting plastic through that. Like, I'm so like, I'm not anti-plastic, but like I'm very conscious of plastic. I stopped drinking out of a plastic bottle years ago, like probably when I found human design. Like I try to avoid drinking out of plastic cups. Like I pretty much only drink out of my Yeti and glass, and ceramic matcha. But so yeah, so like stepping away from that. But yesterday it happened with sugar, and that's another one I'm gonna really try to focus on now, is eliminating sugar. I did find out my mother still has not admitted this to me, but that she is on the verge of being diabetic, and that is a no for me. Like, no thanks for me. Which means like continuing to be really conscious of like those intakes. And yesterday I did have a moment where I was like, oh, I just really want a cookie. I just want a cookie. And, you know, I was like, no, like, you don't need the cookie. You don't need the cookie. And I just kept coming through, like, wants cookie. And I'm like, okay, all right. We've done we've had all of our protein for the day, all of our fruits and veggies. Like, we did really well with starches today. Like, you can have one cookie. When I went upstairs, there was half of a cookie and I ate it. It was delicious. It was great. I was really grateful for it. And then later in the night, it kind of happened again, where I was like, I wanted a snack. And I took a pause though, and I was like, wow, like, remember when you used to at like 4 a.m. every morning go upstairs and just eat a bunch of like Reese's and then go back to sleep? Like, you don't do that anymore. And I was like, great. And I was like, but why am I about to go upstairs and like do it right now? And I'm like, it's okay. Like, you do have things you need to take upstairs. And I had like a bowl and stuff I needed to wash. And I went upstairs and I like kind of looked around the kitchen and I was like, you know what? Like, if I am hungry, maybe there's a better option for a snack. And I had like a little like meat and cheese thing, which, you know, isn't perfect. You know, like, it's probably not the perfect snack, but it was like definitely a better choice than a Reese's. So all that to say, learning your personal like rules is about deconditioning, and that is a gift of human design, right? Like, human design is a gift to help us decondition ourselves. So I see the moon changed to second line, so I'm just gonna close that. So the moon is also currently aligned with Venus. They're not exact quite yet. They will be later today. They'll link up in gate 5, but they're both in gate 57 here, which is about gentleness and clarity. Gate 57 is very, very gentle. Zach had this gate. This was his radiance energy. This was just, oh my God, he was such a gentle beast. Oh God. So I'm always grateful when the energies that Zach embodied come through. And I do just want to point out that 57 is aligned with the energy of the 51. So Mars is in 51, and so Mars and Venus have been kind of like in a bit of an opposition with each other. It's not exact or anything today, but I think that that's really beautiful, because those two energies work together. And 51 is about awakening, and awakening is about shock. So I'm going to tell you about shock. So Zach also had this energy, and the day that I received the news that Zach had passed away, I mean, that was shock. Like, there is a part of me that knew, right? Because I do have this gate of knowing. I knew something like that was like meant to happen. Like, my soul purpose was like aligned with that. And that makes sense. Like, I feel very aligned with Mary Magdalene. She's one of my guides. I am part of her lineage. And so having like a partner loss aligns with her story and like the continuation of her story and like our story. And so that shock of like, hey, Zach died yesterday, really kind of propelled me into just like full on, these are my gifts and I'm taking them to the bank. And, you know, there were still things that like I needed to learn. There was still so much to grieve. There was still going to be like a time, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, you know, but like it was on. And having Mars in this energy is just like, we're really all kind of like waking up to the truth. And the truth of like, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to speak on what the truth is today because it's wordless. And it's not something that needs to be talked about right now. So Mars is going to go direct tomorrow. So that'll be exciting for us. We'll get some forward momentum and less like, I feel like less thinking about the actions and more like, okay, we can finally like kind of like do them, like roll with them again. Let me see, anything else? I want to look at the other transits when Jupiter and Pluto have been conjunct this year, just so we can kind of see them. Let's see how I can do this. So the first one was April 5th. Let's see. Awesome. So this is what that looked like. Interesting. So on April 5th, Uranus was in gate 27, so we didn't have this full channel. We were experiencing, so the sun was in gate 51, so the sun was giving us that energy of awakening, and so the earth was giving us that gentle clarity that the moon and Venus are giving us now. We were experiencing the channel of awakening, perfected form, and the brainwave. Fun stuff. And then we had Jupiter and Saturn up here in gate 61 of knowing. That's pretty cool. So then the next time we had this conjunction was on June 30th. And so we had Uranus move into gate 24, and we have this design of a thinker happening. Yeah, and we had the moon was in Scorpio, Mercury was in Cancer, the sun was in Cancer. Yeah, so I just wanted you to kind of like see the different nuances. And then today, like we said, is this. Right, let's see. Let's look at this manifesting generator with a just now connection. So again, this manifesting generator has 3 open centers. So she has her head center is open, her ajna center is open, and her heart center is open. And so both her ajna and her heart center are completely open. So like her head center has this hanging gate 61. So when she's like in the aura of someone or gate 24 is activated, then she'll experience this, and she'll experience it through the lens of this gate, whereas like her ajna doesn't have anything, so like she's just like here to experience like and become wise about the energy of the mental sphere and the mental realm, but she doesn't have like a fixed way of like of thinking, or a fixed way of like expressing her ego or her self-worth, and she doesn't have a fixed way of like receiving inspiration, but she does have like a nuanced like knowingness about it because she has that gate. So with the just now connection, she has a complete chart. So, you know, she's had this happening because of the slow moving planets being there. She's had that happening for a while. She's going to have this for a little bit because she has channel 40 or gate 44. Excuse me. She has gate 44 and the south node, and the nodes move a little bit slower, is in the 2645, and so she's getting this channel of surrender through that. So she's experiencing both head ajna and heart energy because of slower moving transits. She's also experiencing the channel of perfected form because of the moon and Venus, and then her own Earth and Uranus energies. She's experiencing the channel of struggle, design of stubbornness because of Mercury, as well as her own Saturn and Neptune energies. So yeah, she's got like a complete channel going, or complete chart going. And so I think like in this, you know, when it does give you access to like to willpower. It does give her access to conceptualizing and access to like this like inspiration, and at the same time it's also really important to remember like this is her, like this is actually what she is, and so she can use then these like energies that are coming through to help her really get in touch with who she is. And like, you know, her voice, even though we have this channel of structuring coming in and, you know, we're having this ability to speak our minds, her real powerful voice is coming from this channel of transitoriness. I wish that had a better name. That channel is probably the perfect name. I don't have this channel at all, so I don't really work with it. So this is So this is a creative channel for the sensing circuit. It has the talent for seeking adventures and involving others in them. It defines expression through gate 35's need to manifest change, as in been there, done that, what's new. The emotionally charged 36 gate perceives its inexperience as inadequacy, and so draws those with the channel of transitoriness into seeking experience, occasionally by engendering a crisis just to get things moving. Through this restless desire to explore the depth and consequence of our capacity to feel, our species matures and evolves and our gene pools expand, ultimately resulting in progress for the collective. Learning through experience for the sake of future generations. So, yeah, her experience and her feelings experiences specifically are really where her power is. But because of like what the planets are doing, she's also probably experiencing this like, oh, like I can also really tap into what I know. And, you know, she's following her own like Jupiter laws, and having this like conjunction of Jupiter and Pluto with her unconscious moon and, you know, Uranus, like all of these insights coming through, she's probably experiencing some ability to like structure and put into form, you know, anything that these experiences have given her, and giving her a little bit more that energy. So it's just like one fun way you can kind of look at these things. That makes sense for me and what I'm experiencing for sure. So I can speak to kind of this. So I don't have these two gates defined. I just have this. And so, or these two centers, my bad. So these two centers are active because of the, where Mercury is connecting with my Neptune energy. And so I've been really noticing that with these activations, it really gives like space to really hone in on the things that are like still open. And it like, that's really cool. Honestly, it feels really good when just one of them is open, because then like you can take like all of that energy and kind of like, at least for me, like really like focus on what needs to be deconditioned from those spaces. Cause like, because I'm open there, like I don't have like a constant like willpower. I do have like a nuance of knowing this energy to me is very egoic. It is the gate of the egoist. But ego is not a bad thing. And through having that specific gate in my chart, I've really learned to like honor the ego and like the higher ego. That's kind of for me like where the voice of like Mary Magdalene really speaks to me. I don't know how to explain it, but like years ago when I was like finally like coming out and like I became Mary Magda like openly and publicly, that was really where I felt it. It was, I mean, there was so much pain around it, but I knew that pain held like a key and a code. And another event happened recently where I was just like, oh my God, like I feel so aligned with like that experience. And like, I felt in that space, just like, I could just like feel a softness. And that's really cool. But I don't have access to this energy all the time. So getting out of my mind there and allowing this tenderness and the softness and what I really am to come through. And I'm also open here. And the emotional solar plexus is really coming online right now, for the whole collective. And like this is the great change that's like really taking place, is like we started in this awareness center, the spleen, basic natural fears. I mean, think of like the first humans, like figuring out how to like fend off nature and like work with nature and survive and you know, learn how to like get food and like protect itself. And then in like the 1700s, the ajna kind of came online, and that was the mines, that was like the industrial revolution. And now the solar plexus is coming online, sort of like getting us back into our bodies, but with like the consciousness of like, hey, like if we, you know, like we don't need to like fight for our survival anymore, in the same way, like especially amongst one another. And I feel like the solar plexus really teaches that, but there's a lot of conditioning in the solar plexus because that's the emotions. That's like ages 7 to 14. Like just think about when you were 7 to 14 and that period of time. I mean, maybe maybe that period was easy breezy beautiful for you, but like for me that was like wrought with like lots of like emotional pain and confusion, and like you know, it's like it's an intense period. So but having the planets the way they are, I'm really able today, and while this is active, to like kind of focus on these two energy centers and anything that's like stuck there. And that's how I sort of use that. So that's how kind of all I have for today. I didn't mean to hit that. I just wanted to go to the right now. So this is today again. The moon's gonna move at 8:40. It'll move into gate 32. So that's just over here. So the moon will move here later today. Let's see that anything else will be moving. This will probably move tomorrow. Interesting. It'll move to the 6th line at 2:08 a.m. and then tomorrow at 8:30. Venus is going to move also into gate 32. I don't have to look at that again. Cool. Well, that's all I have. I hope that helps. You know, if you have any questions, let me know. If you want to sit and do a personal reading, let me know. I would love to help you out. So you all take care.